the secret Nazi UFO program that presidents still hide. What you are about to hear is not a conspiracy theory, not science fiction, and not internet folklore. It is a documented historical reality buried under decades of classified files, redacted intelligence reports, and deliberate silence by governments that claim to represent the public. During World War II, Nazi Germany was not only fighting a military war, it was racing to unlock technologies so advanced that even today, in 2026, parts of that research remain locked away under national security laws. Technologies so sensitive that no American president has ever fully addressed them on camera. And the reason is simple. Once the war ended, those secrets didn't disappear. They were taken. As Allied forces advanced into Germany in 1945, they didn't just find defeated armies and ruined cities. They uncovered underground laboratories, hidden research facilities, and experimental aircraft designs that defied everything known about aviation at the time. While the public narrative focused on tanks and rockets, intelligence officers were stunned by documents describing circular aircraft, vertical takeoff concepts, and propulsion theories decades ahead of conventional engineering. These discoveries were not imaginary. They were catalogued, transported, classified, and absorbed into the emerging military-industrial complex of the post-war world. Nazi Germany's obsession with so-called miracle weapons was driven by desperation and ideology. Adolf Hitler believed technological superiority could compensate for losing ground on the battlefield. This belief led to massive funding for experimental projects outside traditional physics and aerodynamics. The regime had already proven it could change history with technology. The V-2 rocket became the first human-made object to reach the edge of space, a fact acknowledged by NASA itself. The Ho 229, a jet-powered flying wing developed by the Nazis, displayed stealth characteristics that American engineers would not fully explore until decades later. These are not disputed facts. They are preserved in museums, declassified reports, and U.S. military archives. But beyond these confirmed technologies, Allied intelligence encountered something more disturbing: repeated pilot reports of unexplained aerial objects during the war. American and British pilots described glowing, fast-moving, circular lights that followed aircraft without engaging them. These encounters were officially documented by the U.S. Army Air Forces and became known as Foo Fighters. At the time, commanders feared these objects were secret German weapons, not extraterrestrial craft, but experimental aircraft capable of outmaneuvering Allied planes. The panic wasn't public, but it was real, and it triggered immediate intelligence lockdowns. After Germany's surrender, the race for knowledge began. The United States launched Operation Paperclip, a covert program that secretly relocated more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians to America. Many had direct ties to the Nazi regime. Their records were sanitized, their pasts were buried. Among them was Werner von Braun, who would later become the architect of America's space program and the Saturn V rocket that sent astronauts to the moon. Presidents approve this operation quietly, understanding that admitting the full truth would provoke moral outrage and geopolitical consequences during the Cold War. What is rarely discussed publicly is that, along with scientists, the U.S. also seized enormous volumes of classified research. Some of it involved propulsion systems that modern defense analysts still refuse to discuss openly. While there is no verified evidence that Nazi Germany successfully built a fully operational UFO, intelligence reports confirm that experimental disc-shaped aircraft concepts were actively explored. Some were incomplete, some were destroyed, others were taken apart and studied. The Soviets did the same, and both sides buried the results.
As the Cold War intensified, secrecy became policy. Experimental aircraft programs in both the United States and the Soviet Union during the 1950s included unconventional designs that resembled earlier German concepts. Most failed, some were abandoned, all were classified. This silence created a vacuum, and into that vacuum poured decades of UFO sightings, speculation, and distrust. Governments consistently denied extraterrestrial involvement while refusing to fully explain what they did know. That contradiction remains unresolved. From President Truman to President Biden, every administration has deferred questions about unidentified aerial phenomena to military and intelligence agencies. In recent years, the Pentagon has acknowledged that unexplained objects have been recorded entering restricted airspace. Yet officials insist there is no evidence of alien technology. At the same time, thousands of pages of historical intelligence documents remain partially or fully redacted, even in 2026. Some are sealed until 2045 or beyond. The official justification is always the same: national security. The truth is uncomfortable, revealing how much modern aerospace technology was influenced by classified wartime research would expose ethical compromises made in the name of power. It would confirm that governments chose secrecy over transparency, not to protect citizens, but to protect strategic advantage. The Nazi UFO narrative is not about aliens. It is about how dangerous knowledge is handled, who controls it, and why the public is never trusted with the full story. So the real question isn't whether the Nazis built extraterrestrial spacecraft. There is no verified proof of that. The real question is why, more than 80 years later, world governments still refuse to fully disclose what was found, what was taken, and what was learned. Because whatever was uncovered in those underground labs didn't die in 1945. It evolved, and the silence surrounding it continues to this day.